To learn anything, you need to make mistakes. This is true learning any instrument. When you first start learning how to play, you're going to make mistakes. That's inevitable. That's one of the most important parts of learning anything, is making mistakes. Hello and welcome to Mr. Kenyon's studio. In this video we're going to learn about the fact that you can improvise. That's right, I said you can improvise. Everybody can improvise. In fact, everybody does improvise. You just don't think about it, but you do. When you have a conversation with somebody, you're improvising. You're improvising speaking. So what we're talking about here is improvising in music. So if you come from a background of always memorizing music or reading music, and you just can't seem to get around to improvisation, there's several reasons why people have trouble with this, and they tend to freeze up. And that has to do with the fact that they're just not comfortable. You, who's watching this, presumably because you want to learn how to improvise, you're not comfortable with learning, with presenting your thoughts in a manner that maybe you feel like you're going to be judged, or you just freeze up. You have this uncomfortable feeling when you attempt to improvise because you don't want people to think that you're bad, or whatever it is. So first of all, improvising is a skill, and you need to practice it just like anything else. You're not going to just automatically get good at it, without doing it. The more you do it, the better you get at it, just like anything else. You have to practice your written music or your memorized music in order to perform it correctly, right? So same thing with improvisation. You have to practice improvising to get good at it. It's true that some people are more naturally prone to improvisation than others, but everybody can improvise. It's just a matter of getting around and getting over that hurdle of insecurity or anxieties. So the idea is you need to practice it. So you don't want other people listening to you, so don't practice with other people. Practice by yourself. But then you need a backing track. So what you need to do is you can find a backing track to whatever song it is that you're wanting to improvise on, or you can make your own. That's what I did when I first started learning how to play the guitar. I made my own backing tracks. Back when I was a kid, I used the old 8-track cassette tapes, and I would overdub those. But I would just make a backing track of myself playing, the chords on the guitar. Like for example, something like this. Really simple. You can't always get what you want by the Stones. It's just 2 chords, and there's another chord in there in the chorus, but it's basically just those 2 chords you're jamming on, and then you just use the G major pentatonic scale, or you can use the G major scale. Anyway, point is, I made a backing track of myself just playing that over and over and over, and then I would go back and practice practice soloing over that backing track. So if you have trouble getting over the fact that you don't want to sound bad, the fact is, to learn anything, you need to make mistakes. This is true learning any instrument. When you first start learning how to play, you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. That's one of the most important parts of learning anything, is making mistakes. And it's the same thing with improvisation. You have to make mistakes, and then work out the kinks. It takes time until you get comfortable with patterns and things to the point where you can speak it. It's kind of like a language, and of course it depends on the genre of music that you're playing. There's different vocabulary for different genres. So not only music is like a language, but each style or idiom within music is like a language in a way too. So like if you wanted to learn how to play jazz, for example, that requires a level of understanding of musical vocabulary that's far exceeds other genres. I'm not trying to be biased here. It's just a fact that jazz music is more complicated. So I'm just using that as an example. But it's not just complicated, but it's also, like I said, it's the idiom. It's learning how to speak the language. So if you were interested in learning how to play jazz, you gotta listen to a lot of jazz, right? Whatever genre it is that you want to learn how to play, you have to listen to what other people do. When I was first learning the guitar, I started learning blues guitar on my own. I was self-taught when I was 12 years old. I started learning blues guitar. That's how I started off. But I would watch videos of guitarists that I really like. Stevie Ray Vaughan was one of my heroes back when I first started. I would watch videos of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing, and I would copy him. I mean, it's just like I said, when you learn a language, how does a little baby learn how to speak? Well, they listen to their parents speak, right? How does anybody learn a second language? You gotta immerse yourself in that culture. You have to be around people that speak that language. Same thing with music, any kind of genre of music, whether it's blues, rock, country, fiddle music, Irish music, reggae, whatever. You have to learn the idiom. You have to learn the language. And so you gotta listen to other guitar players or whatever instrument it is. Listen to other people that play that music that you want to learn how to play, and imitate them. Do what they do, because that's how you learn how to speak. And you got to learn to speak the language of your music that you want to be able to improvise. Before you can actually have something to say, you need to know how to say it. You need to know what to say. Everybody can say something. It's just like if I ask you a question, or if your friend asks you a question, you have to respond to them, but your response is totally made up. It's improvised, but it's based on your prior knowledge. It's based on what you already know. It's based on what you've learned. And a simple answer to any kind of a question, like, oh, what's your favorite color? You may have an answer already ready, or you may have to think about it for a moment. Oh wait, I like that color, I like this color. Well, that's the same thing with playing a lick or playing a riff on a blues or something. Maybe I want to do this. Or maybe I'm feeling this. Okay, those are all kind of licks you've heard before, right? There's nothing new there. But in order to get to something that's personal and unique, that takes a lot of practice. They call that finding your voice. In fact, many professional musicians still haven't found their voice, or some never will. I don't know if I have, but it starts by imitating, and that's how you learn how to speak a musical language. And so you gotta first learn the language. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And then you have to practice on your own. Practice on your own until you're comfortable. Then you can start jamming with other people. And that's where the real magic happens. Because just like speaking, right, improvisation in music is like a conversation, right? especially like in jazz, where you have to really intently listen to the other players, and they kind of bounce off of each other. But that's basically it. I mean, you got to learn, you got to be comfortable with the language you're speaking, and then you got to just go out there and start doing it. And the more experience you get, the better you get at it, and you can start developing your own licks and stuff like that. So I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and happy practicing.